Hi guys, it's Sam from Sammy's Reviews, and in today's video I'm gonna be recommending horror novels so you can spook up your Halloween. But before getting started, I just want to remind you that I'm hosting a 30-day recommendation on my Instagram where I recommend every single day one horror movie and every single Friday one horror novel. So if you're interested in something like that, please check out my Instagram. First off, I love reading horror. A while ago, before discovering Stephen King, I did not understand or fathom the concept of horror on paper. I felt like horror genre depends mainly on the auditory and visual sort of images. That's why film is a great medium for that. I just didn't understand how can an author make you reach the point of being scared, literally terrified of reading. And this has been proven wrong when I read Stephen King, because the guy scared the hell out of me. If I just wanted to recommend the entire video just Stephen King novels, I could do that easily, but I'm just gonna stick to recommending one Stephen King novel. I just felt like maybe an author can make you feel uncomfortable, maybe the setting is gonna be a little bit spooky or dark, such as Wuthering Heights, for example. But again, I could not understand the idea of being scared of words on paper. But that changed after I read Pet Sematary by Stephen King. It's a 1983 horror novel by the king of horror, Stephen King, and basically Dr. Louis Creed moves into a new house and has a new job, and behind his house is what children called Pet Cemetery. It's a place where children bury their pets. This pet cemetery has some sort of a special power of bringing back the dead. And Louis Creed is really intrigued by this idea and sometimes uses it to solve some of his problems. And this is basically Pet Cemetery. This horror novel is literally horror. It's scary, it's terrifying, it's really hard to read sometimes. The way that Stephen King describes the bodies, describes the feelings, describes the setting, it's really uncomfortable and really unsettling. So that's 5 out of 5 stars. I really recommend reading it. And if you have already read Pet Sematary, just go into the works of Stephen King and just pick any of his works. He masters the horror genre, and I've read a bunch of books by him and they are all scary, they are all terrifying. So just read any King novel. The second book I'm going to be recommending is a book that I have not shut up about since the beginning of the year, which is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. It's a 2016 horror/thriller novel, which I made 3 videos about. I made a novel review, a movie review, and a movie/book explanation and analysis, which I'm gonna be linking them all down below. So basically, Jake and his girlfriend are visiting Jake's parents for the very first time, and since you are reading from the point of view of Jake's girlfriend, you know that she is on the verge of breaking up with him. But things escalate really quickly after they met his parents, with a violent setting of snowstorm and blizzards and tense conversations between the characters and philosophical questions. Things really get so dark so easily. Now, this is a different kind of horror. It's not body horror, it's not actual horror, it's literally psychological horror. I feel like after I finished reading I'm Thinking of Ending Things, I wanted to reread it from the beginning, because I felt like by the end everything clicks and I have been missing out on a lot of details because of my ignorance from the beginning of the novel. This book/movie, which I really recommend watching the movie by Charlie Kaufman, this novel makes you feel like life is just an impending doom, and the characters' loneliness and the characters' introvertedness makes you really uncomfortable reading all these horrible thoughts and violent ideas. Also check this out, it's also a 5 out of 5 stars. Forgot to show you Pet Sematary, here it is. But the third novel I'm gonna be recommending is Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. Now, this is not what I call a straight up horror, but it's a surreal, absurd sort of a psychological horror. But instead of giving you a synopsis of the novel, I'm just gonna read you the very first paragraph. Chapter 1. When Gregor Samsa woke up one morning from unsettling dreams, he found himself changed in his bed into a monstrous vermin. He was lying on his back as hard as armor plate, and when he lifted his head a little, he saw his vaulted brown belly sectioned by arch-shaped ribs to which Don, the cover, about to slide off completely, could barely cling. His many legs, pitifully thin compared with the size of the rest of him, were waving helplessly before his eyes. What's happened to me, he thought. It was no dream. So basically, Greg Samsa, the main character of our novel, woke up to find himself a goddamn insect. He found himself a cockroach. This is a very surreal coming-of-age story. It's very different, it's very unique, and it's very short as well. This is a very, very important novel in the English literature because it's kind of impossible to be written. Imagine just writing a novel from the point of view of a cockroach. And how long can you hold up this concept? The fourth recommendation I'm going to be giving is not a novel, but rather two short stories by Junji Ito. Junji Ito is a Japanese manga creator / author. His work is really significant and really unique, and there's no way you're gonna read anything that looks like Junji Ito's work or that follows any sort of ideas similar to Junji Ito's ideas. I'm currently on the journey of reading a lot of Junji Ito's work, including Uzumaki and including Geo and including many of his other works, because I want to make a guide to Junji Ito on his own, but this guy has a lot of work out there. So the two short stories I'm going to be recommending, which I'm not going to give a synopsis of because they're literally 10 pages long, I don't want to spoil it, are Army of One and The Enigma of Amigara Fault. The fifth and final recommendation in this video is The Devil All the Time. This is again another novel that I have not shut up about the entire year. I made several videos about the novel and the movie. Basically, it's a very large-scaled novel, so I don't know how to give you a synopsis exactly, but it just follows a bunch of characters that has faced lots of horrible situations in their past, and this influenced them to keep on acting horrible acts in their lives. Unlike I'm Thinking of Ending Things, I do not recommend the movie because I didn't like it that much. It's a very misaccurate representation of the novel. So if you have seen the movie and you didn't like it that much, it's okay, just check out the novel. It's really well written. This author really pays attention to details. He works really good into making really messed up characters and really gray characters that you don't know whether they are really horrible for the sake of being horrible or whether they are actually kind of forced to do horrible acts. So the moral of the story is really unclear. So these were my horror novel recommendations for Halloween. Happy Halloween. Have you read any of these novels? Would you like to recommend me a horror novel? Please leave your opinion down below, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!